NAPA know-how.
Every car on the road today deserves quality parts and NAPA know-how, but none more than your dream car, especially if you got it 10 years after it came out. Boy, did your patience pay off, because here you are toting your swagger about town like the gentleman motorist you are at a fraction of the cost. And with some quality parts and a little NAPA know-how, you can keep your dream car running longer, stronger. That's NAPA know-how.
NAPA know-how.
This is the sports professor, Rick Horrow, with Beyond the Scoreboard, the inside look at the trillion-dollar business, marketing, legal, endorsement, deal-making issues of sports from the fans' perspective, especially New England, Chicago, other sports fans. If you want to learn more about what we're talking about, csnne.com, the top 15 issues of the week from all of those perspectives. We'll get into some of those as we get later on in the show, including a really cool entrepreneur who's developed a shooting and coaching system for basketball just ahead of the NBA Finals that I know we're all focused on. And so subscribe to our iTunes feed. Look for us on Stitcher, Google Play, and Audio Boom. Join us for the entire show as we deal with all of these issues in the business of sports, NBA, NHL Finals. It's that time of year again. Major League Baseball heading for its June push before All-Star time. NASCAR, Indy 500 after IndyCar. This is the time where sports really shine and separate themselves from the ones that don't. So far, no takers on the other side, although a lot of different issues from the business perspective we're going to cover. So let's get to it. Well, first of all, golf takes center stage, and largely because basically too uncomfortably close to my hometown, Tiger Woods, DUI, the world is yet to assess what that picture that's been published worldwide will mean to his endorsement portfolio. And my take, obviously, is that if he was actively playing, he certainly can golf it off, so to speak, by winning or doing successful things and stepping right back into it. But alas, he's out for a while, and no matter how many times he begins to say that he's ready to come back, this may change things endorsement-wise. We'll have to see. It's too early to assess it long-term, but stay tuned. Other golf issues regard sponsorship and marketing. PGA Tour officially made it across the pond. They've talked about opening an office in London. The move made for a variety of reasons, but the main one appears to be for media rights and sponsorships. The European Tour CEO, Keith Pelly, said Europe would provide a viable alternative to the PGA Tour. Well, them may be fighting words, and sources within the tour insist the London office is sensible given the global sponsorship market and the existing relationship with Sky to cover 31 events per year. So how about the PGA Tour getting some love? And although an official announcement not expected till midsummer, the PGA's London office already operational. Its prime focus on media rights and tournament sponsorship. The implication is that the PGA Tour will aggressively court sponsors who otherwise might be attracted to European Tour events. And my take is obvious. Given the fiscal power of the PGA Tour, it's intriguing to see this, and the notion that golf is edging toward one global tour, it's impossible to ignore. PGA Tour's view of London as an important commercial hub. Obviously, it impacts the FedEx Cup Playoffs, the event in Boston, all of the events. Golf moves probably towards some kind of economic global solution down the road. How about football? NFL owners at their spring meeting in Chicago unanimously voted to move the Super Bowl 25, which was scheduled in 2021 for the under-construction Hollywood Park Stadium, to Tampa's Raymond James. The future home of the Chargers and Rams now hosts Super Bowl 26 in 2022. The move stems from rain. Hosting the 2021 Super Bowl there would have required a waiver from the owners, meaning the stadium would have been open for less than a year, and that's not in the Super Bowl rotations guidelines. So the owners also eased the league's widely derided ban touchdown celebrations. Moves that mimic violence or sexually aggressive are still banned, but group celebrations are not. Roger Goodell met with more than 80 current and former players in developing the new policy. And the No Fun League, when Roger Goodell started, may be a little more fun as we move toward other things. Super Bowl move and the celebration allowance, my take, part of the NFL's constant effort to get it right. especially in a period when ratings are down. Look for Roger Goodell to be a little more conciliatory. It is interesting how the Roger Goodell New England Patriot issues may get more into the back seat as the Patriots go about defending their title again. Staying with football, though, and the celebration issue impacts this guy, certainly. The Nikes re-signed Odell Beckham Jr. to what is understood to be the richest shoe contract ever signed by a pro football player. Terms weren't disclosed, but the Beckham number seems to be a 5-year deal worth in the neighborhood of about $5 million per year. The figure about 2 times more than any previous deal Nike had with any football player, and driven up by Adidas' interest in signing Beckham, whose prior Nike contract expired on May 1. Nike clearly has big plans for Beckham, going well beyond his presence on the football field. If certain incentives are met, the 5-year deal could escalate to a mammoth 8-year deal, $48 million for Nike and Beckham. The factors that were paramount in his negotiating favor: talent, production on the field, the New York, New Jersey market, and his social media reach, more than 8 million followers on Instagram, 2.5 on Twitter, and more than 1 million on Facebook. And my take is simple. Beckham's frequently appearing on lists of the world's most marketable athletes, small wonder. He's got to make sure he understands where the line is and doesn't cross it too much. Well, I'm here in Pittsburgh, ladies and gentlemen, and it's Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Playoffs, and I understand Bruin fans, Blackhawk fans, and others probably don't want to talk about it, but guess what? Nashville fans experiencing an outbreak of the Stanley Cup fever, Games 3, 4, and 5, moved there during the weekend, solidifying its identity as a hockey town. Marcus Mariota and now PK Subban, the 2 most marketable figures in sports in what is otherwise a country music stranglehold town. Tennessee notes a 30% increase during the regular season at FS Tennessee, the latest string at an all-time high, 11 local rating for Game 2 of that final Western Conference between the Ducks and the Predators. Obviously, they're moving forward. The league itself moving forward as well as Game 1 kicks off here. The average franchise value, $505 million, about a 3% increase in overall value. Revenue going up about 8 to 10% each year, really important. Vegas' $500 million expansion franchise fee validates those numbers, and largely because also of TV. The $5.3 billion 12-year commitment with Rogers, NBC, the domestic carrier, and Major League Baseball Advanced Media paying the NHL $100 million a year for the internet rights. Certainly a big deal, minimizing the NHL's risk. Internationally, really important. Remember, last year we were talking about no Canadian teams in the playoffs. This year, 5 out of the 7. And even though Ottawa probably wants to forget how close they came to this finals, certainly a change in tilt and cycle for the Canadian teams, especially with the Canadian assistance plan and the emerging exchange rate working in their favor as well. Internationally, though, broadly, $1 billion of licensed revenue, NHL, worldwide, 50 international licensees and partners. The World Cup successful last year, and players from over 20 countries participating in the NHL, including about a quarter of them American. Sounds good for a league that continues to thrive with labor peace almost better than everybody else. And not surprisingly, teams like the Rangers, the Canadians, and the Maple Leafs, over $1 billion in franchise fees, or value, let's say. There are some issues as far as disparity. If the Rangers are $1.25 billion and Carolina, according to Forbes, is $230 million, there is some work to be done. But the 2 teams in the finals this year, the Penguins defending, 11th total value, $560 million, versus Nashville, 26 total value in a smaller southern town at $255 million. But guess what? And here's my take. These games aren't played in the boardroom, are they? Well, then finally, how about basketball and the NBA? As we all know, and how close the Celtics came, and how close the Blackhawks, the Bulls, kind of got started in the playoffs. It seems years away Obviously, we have a deal with an anticipated trilogy rematch, and Joe Lacob, the owner of the Golden State Warriors, doesn't really care about parity. His comment before the finals is that we're not done. We got to get back some of what it feels taken away from us last year. And first team in NBA history to enter the finals, having gone 12-0 in the first 3 rounds of the postseason. So a verge of making history, and of course Joe Lacob and others would rather make it postseason than they did during the regular season last year. Look where that got them. My take is this: every sport needs a signature brand rivalry. Nicholas Palmer, Federer and Nadal, the Cubs and the Cardinals, the Yankees and the Red Sox, Michigan, Ohio State, and the newly minted Cavs-Warriors rivalry may be the most recent chapter in the NBA. The major awards given out, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, MVP award, Russell Westbrook, all of those Dunk of the Year, Best Style, Block of the Year, big deals on June 26. But the most important winner is Kia. They've staked a major claim in the NBA via awards and via All-Star Game sponsorship. And here's another corporation that's involved not only in the regular season, but an extended platform as far as the NBA Finals is concerned, Taco Bell. How about this? Steal a game, steal a taco. The first team to steal a win on the road during the 2017 NBA Finals will give American consumers a free Doritos Locos Taco. Can't wait. Crunch time during the NBA Finals has a whole new meaning when a stolen win on the road means everyone in America can again win a free Doritos Locos Taco from Taco Bell. Yeah, that comes from Marissa Thalberg, the Chief Marketing Officer of Taco Bell Corp., and she goes on to say, regardless of which team ultimately wins the championship, we love that the real winners will be taco fans everywhere. And the take is that the NBA has a top-tier platform, the Finals, which they can sell to a sponsor like Taco Bell, who will be thrilled to be aligned with Cavs, Warriors, Chapter 3. And it's also all about technology. There's an interesting segue back to something that FIFA just did. They appointed Hawkeye Innovations as the video assistant referee provider for a number of imminent soccer tournaments, the 2016 FIFA Club World Cup in Japan, and other events heading to the FIFA Club World Cup in the UAE at the end of the year. The agreement is part of the extensive process to trial the use of video technology within soccer, and the use of VAR technology at these tournaments will examine the impact of the system on the game. There are the same number of on-field officials, but remember all that controversy about goal, no goal, and in a game where you only have 2 or 3 of them at most, that's a very, very important issue. So we've talked about the NBA Finals, and we talk about technology. How about a merger of both of those? A basketball shot tracking technology, coaching device, fan experience for television similar to the First and 10 line, a startup company that does all of that for all of basketball. How does a startup get noticed in the sports and technology space? Well, it's really business 101. We caught up with John Carter, the founder of NOAA, a technological organization that does just this, at the Sloan MIT a month and a half ago, but held this for the NBA Finals, basketball relevant, technology relevant, business relevant. John Carter. Keeping score at the Sloan MIT Sports Analytic Conference, everybody from all over the world, and when you look around at the booths over there, also from other worlds as part of our solar system. I don't know where a lot of these people come from, but this is a meet and greet nonpareil. It is a time for sports to meet analytics, for old to meet new, for entrepreneurs who have all the money in the world to meet new entrepreneurs. And John Carter with NOAA, I don't know where you fit in that spectrum, but you'll tell us. So first of all, thank you for doing this. And second, tell us a little bit about NOAA.
Sure. Well, we have a company that have a product being used by several NBA teams, quite a few college and high school teams, that we track the basketball. So we track the ball. We can tell things like entry angle, ball position within the rim. I can tell you if a shot goes 8 inches deep and 2 inches to the right. And we also know where the shot came from. So now we're able to generate these really unique shot charts and be able to help pinpoint why a player is missing shots. So historically, there's been a lot of tracking around whether the shot scored or not. There's been not been a lot of data around why did it make, why did it miss, and so that's where we come into the picture.
And he's a marvelous entrepreneur, and he's got a great entrepreneurial staff because he comes from Brooklyn, but being in the SEC, ACC country, he's got that fake Southern accent. That's not the case. If you're going to have a basketball device, you better be in basketball country. Right?
That's correct.
And so the interesting thing about your business, as I understand it, is that Shotlink has become an indispensable part of golf, and clearly the first to 10 line, an indispensable time. You can't watch television without it.
Yeah.
Is your technology more of a television aid for fan enhancement? Is it more of a scouting device? Is it a combination? Is it more of a statistical development device? Is it a combination of all of that?
We have intention to reach all those areas you just explained, but at this point, early on, it's about training and data tracking. But we do have every intention of making this data available for media. We think there's a lot of, when, for example, commentators have little meaningful comment about why a player's struggling in that particular game, we can tell them that.
Yeah, so some of them make it sound like they know what they're doing, but they clearly don't. So a free throw coach can use your scouting information to try to teach a player how to release the ball better, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
Is that the idea?
Through all the research, we determine what is the ideal entry angle, what is the ideal entry depth. There is a significant number of basketball players, even at the professional level, that struggle just because they do not get the ball deep enough in the basket. And so we measure all that precisely so a player knows exactly what they need to do to improve.
So the first proof of concept is to identify a significant niche and define it. Sounds like you've got it. This is a business show for business-oriented people. Where do you go? How do you get from that point to actually a ongoing, functioning, revenue, secure, big company?
Well,
where are you in that stage?
Yeah, it's a fairly tough process, as you just defined. But we have been around for a little while, so we had an older two-dimensional system that we sold quite a few of those. And so when we introduced this new product in the summer, that's a really complete product, we had a lot of those relationships to go back to. So we already have a half a dozen NBA teams using the product. We already have 15, 20 Division I colleges and probably 100 high schools. So that was just for the fall. And we obviously will be pursuing that heavily this year. But we are a data service provider, so we don't really sell equipment. We go in and install equipment, and then we provide the data back to those teams.
Ladies and gentlemen, you hear the noise in the background. Look out there, all of us, and we see some of it's your competition. Everybody says they've got devices that are perfect. How do you differentiate in a mass situation like this? You believe in your product quite clearly, but the challenge is to get people to understand what the point of difference is and see the reality of it.
Yeah, it is. It is a challenge. We don't, honestly, for as far as all the people out there, we don't have direct competition. We do have 16 issued patents in the space that we operate in. But we do compete with people for, there's only so much that you can attach to a team. So, as far as technology, there's wearables, there's all types of things now. And so we have to convince these, these teams that our technology is appropriate and we're going to make them better.
Your background?
I'm an engineer.
Of course you are. I should have known.
Yeah, I'm an Auburn mechanical engineer, but I've also founded and ran a software company. So I'm also a basketball nut. So I grew up playing basketball and follow the game. Always follow the game very closely. So this was a good fit for me.
A eureka moment. So you're sitting there and you're dabbling with this, and you're saying, "Man, this is interesting." Then you dabble a little more and you say, "Nobody else is doing it." At what point did those paths cross and say, "I'm going to do it"?
Well, pretty early.
Had to.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty early because when a player is struggling, one of the things about shooting a basketball, a player can't see their own shot. And that's the reason so many players shoot the ball flat and they have no idea what they're doing, and the coach will say, "Hey, you're shooting the ball flat," and the player doesn't really believe it. And so this generation of players, the most common quote I get from coaches, whether it's a middle school coach or an NBA coach, is this generation of players, they trust technology. So a coach can tell a player, you're shooting too flat or you're shooting short, but when it's measured by a computer, by a piece of technology, they tend to to buy into it better, which is kind of interesting.
And then your next step, obviously, is to get some seed money and investment dollars. Tell that story a little bit, again, for the business audience.
Well, we're really fortunate. We've got a group of angel investors that have been great for us. So we've not had to, we've just been really fortunate. We've got a great group of investors that have supported us when we needed it, and we will likely raise some additional capital within the next 12 months or so.
A good answer that a lot of people around here would have liked to say as well. How hard was the angel investor process? Did you bring some friends over from other ventures? Is that how it worked?
Brought some, from past businesses. Brought some investor friends in, who introduced us to other investor friends. You know how this works. I mean, people are really investing in the CEO and the management team, and obviously the business concept and whatnot. But we've been really fortunate in that regard.
Scalability. There are 317 Division I college basketball programs. There are a lot more D2 and D3. Obviously, all the NBA, and then in other sports. Have you looked at where you're going to be 3, 4, 5 years from now?
Well, we want to reach. We want to be in every gym. There's over 90% of high school basketball players are not reaching their potential. Over 50% of college players are not reaching their potential, and over 25% of professional basketball players are not reaching their potential. If a player shoots 50 degrees, the optimal is 45. They're not reaching their full potential. They're leaving points, and so we want to reach everyone. And we've got a pricing model. You mentioned all those college and pro teams, and many people think that's where we focus all of our attention, and we do focus attention there, but we focus a lot of attention at the high school level. There's 25,000 of those.
25,000 of those, and they all want to be really good.
Yeah.
They all want to teach their kids how to shoot. What's the point of entry in your basic point of sale? Who do you have to convince first? The coaches, the athletic departments? Obviously, if it's a Shotlink type concept, and educate me, there is a media component, which means a sponsorship component, which means a television component. What's the pecking order?
Well, it varies depending on who you're talking to. If I'm at a Division I college, I've got to get to the head coach. I might work my way in through the director of operations or the video guy, but I've ultimately got to get to the head coach. At the high school level, we not only have to get to the coaches, but we also have to get to the boosters and parents. Yeah. So we do a free on-site demo and clinic that our sales reps scattered all over the country. They'll go in, do a little clinic, they'll invite the parents and boosters, and that's how we get them done there. But it varies. It really varies depending on who you're after.
Two audiences I want you to speak to, and then we're done. You can go out and sell all you want to. First audience are the aspiring students out there who want to be like you, want to be like her, want to be like you. What do you tell them?
Be ready to work extremely hard. It's a lot of, we've been at it for a little while, so you have to really stick with it. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs that get in there and things don't go quite as well as they'd hope. But you better have some glue, and you better really stick with it, and be passionate about what you're doing, and don't give up. I mean, that's a lot of people I've found tend to, if things don't go well right out of the gate, they tend to move on to something else. But if you're very confident what you've got, which we are, we've stayed the course and worked really hard to get where we are.
Perfect answer. Now the room is cleared out. Now you got investors / teams / coaches. What do you tell them?
Well, we basically talk about this is a really big market, and we're in the world of big data, and the stuff that we do as far as machine learning and the stuff that we do as far as data is very relevant, and there's just a really big market available when you go from the college down to the high schools and up to the professional. It's a very sizable market.
Now the final answer, which could lead to business, probably not, but I'll tell you in advance, it could lead to business. So there's this old guy with questionable talent but a big ego, and he's got a basketball court at his house.
Yeah.
But he beats people in horse, but not always. And of course, the key is to slam someone so they'll come back. Can that person use your product?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of systems that have been installed in people's driveways.
Is that right?
We absolutely do.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, he's sending me one, and I'm coming back. As a better horse player, you better watch out. John Carter, Noah, thank you very much, my friend. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay.
We'd like to thank John Carter. That's our show for today, ladies and gentlemen. A really key beginning of the NBA Finals and the NHL Finals as well. Look at all of our 15 to watch, csnne.com, and the same thing in Chicago. And if you want to subscribe, iTunes feed, Stitcher, Google Play, Audio Boom, to keep up with the latest issues of news, marketing, endorsements, all over the trillion-dollar business of sports. I'm Rick Horrow, sports professor. I'd like to thank Jason Levine and Tanner Simpkins for putting this together as they do every week. And again, I'd like to thank you for watching and listening, and join us next week when we go Beyond the Scoreboard.
NAPA know-how.
A NAPA guy knows not to judge a man by his car's multicolored paint job or absence of modern gadgetry. Who cares if it's technically old enough to vote and the windows are powered by the strength of your left arm? Your monthly payment is zero, and it'll stay that way. Because with over 500,000 parts and a little NAPA know-how, you can keep anything on the road. She may not be pretty, but she's all yours. That's NAPA know-how.
NAPA know-how.